Okay, a few of you here. A few of you are popping on. $13 now? Okay, a few. Hey, Ethan. Hey, GL. How's it going? Aloha. Are you in Hawaii there, GL? Yo, Mannion. Hey, Kung Fu. How's it going there, brother? Leslie Jackson, yeah. The Aussie. Nice. Good to see you're not burned up there, Leslie. In for Rip and GL, yeah, you're in Maui. Oh, nice. Okay, here you go. Great. Chase. You know, Chase is here. Chase Taylor, he's pretty much almost the first commenter on every video, almost. Like he's first or second, maybe third, but he's pretty quick. Chase is like got the YouTube channel on speed dial or something. Yeah, doing good there, Kung Fu. Yeah, doing well. Yeah. Doing all right, man. Yeah, no, I'm doing good there, MMA. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, what's up, guys? Good, yeah, Leslie, you're safe from the fires. That's good to hear, man. Yeah, that's good. Are we all going to die from coronavirus? Well, not me. You know, I can't speak for you, but I know I won't. Alex Marriott, yeah, nice. Thanks. You love my channel. Thank you. I wish there was more people like you in the world there, Alex. It's always good when more than one person loves my channel. Apparently that's how this whole YouTube thing works. I don't know. You don't drink Corona, Kung Fu. Yeah, that's a good way to protect yourself from the coronavirus. It's good. Good thinking. Calm Trues, the music master. How's it going, brother? Barcelona, nice to meet you, buddy. I know I've seen you in the chat a couple times. I think you're the guy that makes electronic dance music, right? So probably better than my stuff, but yeah, no, I understand how hard that's. Sorry, if I'm looking at the comments and not the webcam, that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of trying to read comments at the same time, so I don't mean to be rude here, but why are there so many beta males these days? Celtic pride. Well, the reason why there's so many beta males in some way is because most of them are living in a world where they're protected. So they have been falsely empowered with their words instead of having to back it up physically. I'm not saying that people that use violence are in the right, because we know a lot of evil people that have done that. But we definitely know that when somebody is hiding behind the apron strings of their mother and being a tattletale and just saying whatever they want, no matter how slanderous, and never having to deal with the repercussion, they don't turn out to be better people, that's for sure. And we've got an entire society of males right now who have been falsely empowered when they don't have any real power. They only have that power to complain and to accuse and to never back anything up with results, right? So it's basically the life of no accountability. So that's why there's so many beta males right now. They're living in the world of a mind, but they're not living in the world of physicality and repercussion. But don't worry, life sorts it all out, and eventually people's idealisms that don't serve reality come to a head, and then reality hits them over the head like a wet fish in the face. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't avoid reality. Sometimes you can delay it, but you can't avoid it forever. I mean, you see it with drug addicts, right? They avoid reality for a period of time, and then bang, all of a sudden that lifestyle doesn't work for them anymore. And that's the way life is, and it's the harshest of teachers. But yeah, I mean, we're all victimized by that at times in our life. But I think societies went so far out of balance because the mind has been falsely empowered, and because we're living in a story time world called the internet, and that's not necessarily as physical as, you know, the earth itself, right? So yeah, I think there's genius to this new lifestyle that's coming out. Like there's all this possibility of new thoughts and idealisms, but in the end, ideas are great, but they have to be tested through reality and through basically they have to be accountable. They have to actually be tested, like put the rubber to the road, right? Otherwise it's just a stupid idea, right? Like I can say, hey, it'd be neat to be able to fly, and then jump off a cliff, and then, you know, what happens, right? That's a perfect example of reality. So yeah, that's why we got a lot of beta males. We got a lot of men or people living in a fantasy world and believing that everybody should live according to their ideal, even though they're not living according to their own ideal. In a lot of cases, they're not the one footing the bill for it. So we're seeing this with all the political shit going on and everything. So yeah, that would be My opinion on that, anyway. I'm doing all right there, Chris, Mr. D. Yeah. GL, am I against taking vitamins? No, of course not. I mean, vitamins are natural. Of course, I'm not against that. No, I mean, GL, watch more of my videos. I talk about supplements that I take in a video and stuff like that. So, no, of course not. I mean, I'm not against taking natural substances that are naturally occurring in your food. I mean, of course. And sometimes you'll get deficient in some. And I've talked about where I went magnesium deficient because the water supply caused me, because there's too much chlorine, I went magnesium deficient for a period of time. So you have to understand that you're dealing with an incredibly toxic environment in the world right now. I mean, there's shit that's going in our water supply and shit that's going in our food that is also causing imbalances in our body, and we are forced to compensate through another unnatural looking way, as far as maybe something comes in the form of a higher concentration, but it's still a natural substance. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you are forced to use a vitamin or a supplement of some sort in order to offset some of the incredible damage that we're dealing with based on what's going on in our environment and the toxicity of the environment. If your triceps are sore, should you still train any pushes that day? Well, you could. I mean, it just depends on how sore. I mean, it's not going to kill you. If you train when you're sore, it's not going to kill you. That's all I'm going to say. Just because you're a little bit sore, but if you're like dying sore, I mean, it's just not necessary. At that point, you've already, the muscle's already damaged, then you can let it recover a bit. But you can still train some pushes, just do a little bit wider grip, maybe work it so that you're not using as much tricep during the pushing. Okay, Willow Aran, watch more of my videos. You find it so conflicting that I firmly recommend. Like, okay, first of all, what the fuck are you saying? Honestly, like, what kind of a fucking? I mean, I firmly recommend. What do you mean by that? How many videos have you watched? You haven't watched too many videos if you're saying I firmly recommend only doing high reps and partial ranges. Really? That's what you got out of what I'm saying? Seriously? Go back and watch all my videos and actually really listen, for fuck's sake, honestly, because I don't say that. I don't say that. I have to say, this is the frustrating thing about doing YouTube, is that you get people that only take partial truths and everything out of context to what you're saying, and then they come up with a false sort of Bible around it. It's like I'm Jesus walking the planet and somebody's making a religion around me, and the religion is totally false. I never ever said doing only partial repetitions and only doing higher reps. I've never said that. Never said it. So go back and redo your fucking studying, because you totally messed it up. Thank you, Nathan. I mean, yeah, I preach both heavy and light. I don't say to go only light. I even talk about this, only light weights, and should you just chase the pump or strength? I mean, I talk about this at length, man. So, I mean, I'm not trying to piss on you here, but at the same time, I mean, it's just frustrating when I have to re-explain something, and people just see me wear, I don't know, they see me wear shorts one day and they say, Jason, oh, you wore shorts in that one video, so that's all you do. It's like, really? I don't know. It's just an oversimplification of something that's much more complicated. So. How do I feel about underhand grip on rows? Underhand grip on rows can be okay, but there is a risk of bicep tears with it. That's all I'm going to say, especially if you have some shoulder instability, or if you're pulling too much with the bicep and you use a little bit of heavier weight and say something's off that day. I know lots of guys that have pulled biceps or something like that, or at least a few guys, not a lot, but a few. If you have a pre-existing bicep injury, I definitely not recommend it. I've done it myself, but it's sometimes that underhand grip is not as natural for some people as others either when they're pulling. So you have to also take that into account. But I'd recommend overhand for the most part. If you're going to do underhand, then do a little bit lighter. Yeah, Lone Star Tick, I heard you firmly recommend riding bikes with baskets. I know I saw this in a video, unless that wasn't your bike. Yeah, you got a point there. I think that might be accurate. I do believe in just riding a bike with a basket. That's true. That's not taken out of context, but it's my wife's bike, so it doesn't mean that it doesn't say anything about me, because it's my wife's bike. So I'm just trying to save mileage by using her bike instead of my bike. Yeah, Ethan, when you're talking about Bible and hell and everything like that, yeah, I mean, the thing is, Ethan, what people don't understand is their own mind is their hell. The negativity that people live in is their own hell. I mean, how many you guys? I mean, I know as my soul brothers and sisters out there, whatever. I mean, you guys know that you can live living hell at periods of time. I mean, you can be extremely depressed or full of anxiety, or all these things. All these things move through you. But when you know the center, your God self, or the source of who you are amidst all of it, then this stuff can move over you, and you're no longer in hell. You know what I'm saying? Like the hell experiences can move through you, but you're like, oh, whatever. You know, you know who you are, and there's a buffer zone because of that. That's the sense of meditation. But if people are heavily identified with their opinion and they're locked into this this identity, and then the experiences that go through that, then they are in hell. That's really the sense of it. So, yeah, it's hard being human, right? But once you know how to use the mechanism properly, then you can find your heaven within this vast amount of experiences that can be pain and pleasure at the same time, right? Yeah. Michael B, I still think it's your back. That's good. Yeah. You know what? I can only deny for so long, but you know, eventually I guess I'll have to realize the truth. Maybe I was supposed to be riding that bike. That's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. You know, Ricky Field. Okay, Ricky Field saying, hi, how's it going? Just want to know how I came to get a better pump when I'm doing slow reps. I thought faster reps does that. You know what? That's funny. It's not necessarily true. It's whatever's hitting your endurance fibers. And I do get more of a burn. Like my brother and I were talking, and he says, you know, when he does a slow bicep curl on the positive and the negative, he gets an awesome burn. And that's true. Like you'll get an awesome burn, but does it mean that you get more results? You might get a better pump. So I also talked about this in a video where a better pump doesn't always mean a better you know, muscular development, because I've had workouts where I got awesome pumps, but I started to get weaker and I started to actually get smaller from those pumps. So if I just knew nothing but pumping light movements, I can get a better pump that doesn't always translate into better muscular development. Now, using pumps as a way to get blood flow into that area, along with using heavier weights and breaking tissue down, then there's a synergy that happens that I find you gain more muscle, but it's not necessarily just pump itself. Yo, Moss Superman, how you doing, bro? Nathan, I hate to keep asking questions. What do you think of rack pulls and pharmacocards? Oh yeah, okay. First of all, guys, I forgot to say, hey, if you want to donate a super chat, you can, and your question will go to the top of the screen. I keep on forgetting to say this. Or if you want to go donate to my channel on my naturalglandbodybuilding.com website, you can do that, and that helps me support this channel and for me to be doing this free super chat type thing. I used to charge money for consultations like this, so people would ask me questions, I'd sit down, and they'd actually pay me for the consultation. So seeing as I'm doing this for free, if you're a patron supporter though, don't worry about that. Just ignore what I'm saying. But if you're not, then it is helpful for me to gauge whether I'm getting support or not from doing this type of avenue of service. So if I'm not getting support of doing it, then I'll just stop doing it, and or maybe just put it up on a Patreon page or something like that. So anyway, just, you know, that's a little bit of housekeeping there. But otherwise, yeah, I don't mind answering the questions here, because I understand not everybody has money too. I don't mind helping you if you don't have money. That's fine. I mean, I'm just trying to make this whole thing sustainable. So, so Nathan, you're asking, what do I think of rack pulls and pharmacarries for traps? Yeah, they can be great. As long as you don't tweak your back or whatever, that's fine. I mean, rack pulls are a good movement. I mean, like I said, with different ranges of motion, that's really what I'm preaching, is that different ranges of motion will hit different muscles. As far as you'll be able to use heavier weight during certain ranges than others, and that will automatically cause certain muscles to become the weak link as opposed to other muscles that would be the weak link, such as if you're deadlifting from the floor, you'll notice there's going to be a lot more lower back involved than, say, if you're doing a rack pull. And I'm assuming that you can keep your back arch all the way through. So because you can use heavier weight and you're using a partial lift, then you're going to be using a little bit more trap, a little bit more upper back, which is why a lot of the major bodybuilders or the big bodybuilders used rack pulls instead of deadlifts from the floor, because they really wanted to get a lot more muscle mass on that upper back. Hey there, Iron Warrior. How you doing, bro? Oh. So he said, hi, Jason. Thank you for all your advice over the years. Who do you admire most from pre-drug era? I don't know. I wasn't really much of a. I didn't follow a lot of history. And no, I'm not vegan. They're flat Earth, Alaska. No, I'm not vegan. Not at all. Not even close. Um, but yeah, no, I didn't really follow too much. I mean, the guys like Steve Reeves and all this, they look great, whatever. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. I was, indoctrinated into the '80s sort of scenario where I was watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and Van Damme movies and magazines and stuff. And I still had the dream when I was a teenager that I could be as big as these guys, like 250 pounds and shredded. If I ate before I knew, how this whole business goes in the IFBB realm as opposed to the natural bodybuilding realm. But yeah, I mean, I still enjoy the look of the physique. I mean, when it's lean and it's got lots of shape and contour, I really enjoy that. But yeah, I don't have a lot of like Steve Reeves is great because I see him in the old Hercules films, I guess, and stuff like that. But I wasn't, yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I mean, I was more an '80s guy. Like I saw the Lou Ferrignos and Schwarzeneggers and stuff. Right? Oh, Royal Bra. What is the best split for a natural bodybuilder? It depends on genetics there, Royal Bra. So if you watch all my videos, you'll always see that I always put a disclaimer underneath everything I say and say if it works for you, because there are different constitutions and different types of people. Some people have a higher fast twitch fiber content. Some people have more slower twitch content, like slow twitch fibers. Uh, Sometimes that's not the only factor. Sometimes there's other factors involved as well. And you have to take that into account. But in the end, just try different splits and see which one you respond to best now in this moment. And don't be surprised if it changes later on, because sometimes what's the best split now for you might be different later on. So it changes sometimes on you too. So that really throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing. But as a general rule, I've stuck to a higher frequency type training program, the 2-day split type of program that I have on my website at naturalglambodybuilding.com. So you can look on there and you'll see my 2-day split programs. I do have a 3-day split program on there, as well as a whole body workout. But I do believe generally in a higher frequency type program, which is lower volume per workout, but a higher frequency. Selwood, I don't believe in going vegan for myself. It just doesn't seem to work for me. I know what I feel like when I eat meat. I know what I feel like when I have just beans and rice and vegetables. I just don't feel right. It doesn't stabilize my blood sugar the same. That's it. I don't get the same pumps on my workout. I feel kind of flat. It doesn't feel right. So I'm not saying that if somebody finds it feels right for them, well, fine, they can do that, right? But again, I'm open to the fact, like, it's easier for me to be like, just eat, dairy products or whatever. It would be easier. I'd rather not have to cook meat and all this stuff. But at the same time, I do notice that there's a difference. I do feel different when I eat something of substance. So yeah, I understand it's not politically correct anymore to do anything that is right for your body, because everybody's trying to push some sort of agenda on you. But in the end, I just give everybody the middle finger and do what I feel is right for me. So that's what I do. And I expect you to do the same thing. So yeah, find out what works, honestly, for yourself, and throw all the dogma, all the the religious ideals and fanaticism out the door, and then really honestly search and see what works for you. And if that's vegan, then great. If it's not, then yeah, that's fine too. I take creatine with a pinch of salt. I heard it helps you get the muscles more into the muscles. That's possible, especially if you don't have enough salt in your diet. How often do I experience plateaus in my lifts? All the time. They're milling constantly. My entire life's a plateau right now when it comes to bodybuilding, pretty much, because I've been doing this for too long. Yeah. Hmm. What exercise really hits the upper back? All rows seem to hit my lats more than producing thickness. Well, I would say then, you could try shrugs. You could try rack pulls. Rack pulls would be good. Or you could try face pulls or external rotator cuff type exercise, like I do with the bent over lateral raise, where I externally rotate. You'll notice that you'll hit a lot of upper trap like that. Michael B, how much protein a day? About a gram per pound of body weight of your lean mass. Ethan, yeah, you're saying veganism isn't sustainable. Yeah, for some people it isn't. I'm just saying that, like, some people it isn't, some people it is, like, whatever. Again, I'm trying to really kind of bridge the gap of being politically correct in this world where everybody's saying you're a bad person if you eat this, you're a bad person if you eat that. And then they say, oh yeah, there's too much methane gas, too many people farting in the air if you eat steak or eat meat or whatever. It's like, you know, there's been animals in nature forever and they've been farting forever and causing methane. Like, I don't quite understand why all of a sudden when there are cows on a farm that they make more. I don't get it. But anyway, the bottom line is that, yeah, you gotta throw out all the bullshit and just honestly just search for yourself and realize that you're going to be your own worst hypocrite, because sometimes what works for you today doesn't work for you tomorrow. And this is the one variable that a lot of people don't take into account, and they don't take into account that people are at different stages in their body, and their body sometimes needs something. And I know a guy that messaged me, okay, he messaged me about 2 years ago, and he might be tuning in right now, I don't know, but he messaged me 2 years ago and told me how bad of a person I was. He just berated me saying that, you know, I'm a bad person because I'm not vegan and I eat chicken and I eat this and that and I'm a bad, like, it was a long statement of how much of a piece of shit I am, basically. That's really what it was saying the whole time. And then I told him, I said, well, I listen to my body and I do exactly what I'm telling you guys. I told him the same thing. And he goes, well, no, you're still, boom, went back into the whole statement. Well, 8 months later, I got a message from this guy out of the blue, and he goes, sorry, I was a guy that contacted you about 8 months ago and told you about how bad a person you were, all this kind of stuff. And what you said was right, because I was a vegan at the time. I was very strongly vegan. And then I started to experience all sorts of side effects and deficiencies and problems because he probably wasn't doing it right. You know, everybody always says the right thing. You didn't do the perfect balance of this and that and whatever. And otherwise your health goes sideways. And I'm like, holy shit, if you got to balance everything so properly to keep your health from going sideways, that's another warning sign for me. But secondarily, he just was sorry because he basically started to experience the limitation of his own fanatical thinking. And that's what I'm saying. Like, life always shows you the truth eventually anyway. Life will always come around and show you whether that's the right lifestyle choice for you or not. But if you're having a thinking that says everybody should be the exact same, well, that's the same thing I'm talking about on this channel. Not everybody is the same, and that is the problem. And once you start throwing the same thing upon everybody and saying, this is the way you are, this is the way you should be, this is the way you should be, then you run into problems, right? Because you're not in the moment with the body. So I'm just seeing different questions. I'm cherry picking which questions I want to answer because some of them are kind of, I don't really have an answer for them, honestly. Yeah, Flat Earth, Alaska. If you're vegan and you lose 40 plus pounds, it just depends. Like, sometimes if you just make somebody vegan and they're not eating Doritos anymore, and they're not eating like anything like that's massively amounts of fat, like they're using their meat eating to eat nothing but deep fried fat and chicken wings and pepperoni and all this kind of shit. Well, yeah, of course they're going to lose weight. You know, of course, because they're cutting out massive amounts of saturated fat. But it's not the vegan that causes the weight loss as much. It's the fact that you're not eating as much fats from your foods, and maybe you like to eat hamburgers all the time, and then there's mayonnaise on there and all this stuff. You know, so this is the thing. So it's not meat versus, it's more like your macronutrients have changed, because now you're saying, I'm going to eat cleaner food. Because if you're eating beans and rice and that sort of thing, you're naturally going to have a lower fat diet. So if you would have did that with meat, there is a possibility, there is a strong possibility that you would have also lost weight. That's it, you know. So are heavy dumbbells good to use for partial side delt movement? I think when you're doing partial side delt type stuff or side delts, I think it's safer, because if you're doing just like from here to here, you're using a lot of supraspinatus. And if you're doing heavy dumbbells, like, you know, just straining for 2 or 3 reps, you could pull something, and I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. Yeah, Ethan, again, you're preaching to the choir here too. I mean, you're saying it wasn't sustainable for you. People thought you were a drug addict because you lost so much muscle and fat and almost died from eating veganism, right? And that's the truth. Some people, like, I know some people, they like the standard argument out there too for a lot of people. They're like, oh well, you can just take everything, you could supplement everything, you could supplement the iron and everything, and then you're all fine. I'm like, well, if you need to take a fucking supplement because your diet is causing a deficiency, that should show you right there that your diet is not complete. I mean, if you have to take a supplement, and I'm assuming that it's not because of the toxins in the environment, all this kind of stuff, but if you have to take a supplement because your diet is absolutely missing something you need for survival, that is a sure sign that it's not sustainable for you. So that's where I find this whole agenda of people pushing a certain eating is just BS, right? So yeah, I know a person too that basically had to eat liver in order to get their iron levels up, because when they supplemented they supplemented iron, it didn't work. They could not absorb the iron. It was not working, and they were having to have blood transfusions. And the only time their iron started to go up was once they started eating liver, right? And that's it, because it's a different absorbable form. It comes in a different form. So this is the stuff that's not talked about, right? Because it's just trendy to be nice and to disregard the violence of life and death, right? It's like there's this massive over sentimentality thrust upon everything that says death shouldn't exist and there should be no such thing as carnivores in the world. I love my cat, but I want to kill it because it killed a mouse. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's just crazy. It's crazy. See you, Nathan. Have a good one, buddy. Celtic pride, you're funny. Yeah. Why do I feel a pop in my left elbow, lower tricep when I bench press? I stretch and do warm-up sets. Your elbow might be slightly out of place, to tell you the truth, Millen. Sometimes the elbows go out of place a little bit, and sometimes stretching them, or sometimes you can actually get a chiropractic adjustment on there and put them back in place. Sometimes that can be caused also from muscle tightness. So sometimes that can pull the elbow out of misalignment as well. Yeah, Selwood, 1989. Yeah, you had the same thing happen to you. Yeah, you know, and that's really all I'm saying on this channel, and all I'm saying, you know, in anything, I'm just saying, deepen your own experience and then trust in that, because most of the profound shitty things that happened to me in my life are when I did not trust my own experience and chose to go with what I thought or trusted somebody else's thinking process instead of what I was observing. So I'm kind of like the worst person for people to sometimes work with when it comes down to health and stuff, because they're like, wow, you're kind of resistant to this, resistant to that, because I'm like trusting my body as the first doctor or first guru in this process. And then from there, I see which part of their thinking may work in alignment with that. So yeah, in the end, that's kind of the challenge, is being aware, but not ignorant and stubborn at the same time. But if you're noticing something and it's profound, it's like you're getting a sledgehammer over the head, that you're so sure that there's something happening that's negative, then yeah, you definitely need to make a change. You know. Boss 245, I'm not going to answer your question because you're an asshole. He's telling me to answer his effing question. So yeah, you can kiss my ass. You know, if you want me to answer your question, if you want to push me around, you know, so far, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been no donations or nothing so far on this chat, and I've been answering questions for free like an idiot. So if you want me to answer your question, you can pay me $100, all right? Otherwise, you can kiss my ass. Good. I saved being nice for my spiritual channel. I don't need to be nice here. There's people who have earned my respect, but if you come and tell me what to do and just push me around, yeah, good luck with that. Good. I knew I was going to get some trolls. I could feel it before I even got on here today. I knew I was going to get a couple assholes on here. That's the way it is. Recommendations for inner elbow pain. Well, there's a tricep right here, right ahead. There might be a tricep trigger point in here. That's a possibility that you maybe have going on, some massage on there. Sometimes the shoulder behind here can have some trigger points or muscle knots that can radiate pain down to the elbow. So sometimes people are getting elbow pain because there's something else going on up here. So this is something that is not taken into account. So massage therapy is really a great thing to do. Yeah. Thanks there, idiot fool. I hate calling your name. I know that's your name, but it sounds like I'm insulting you, but I'm actually saying thank you. Yeah, okay, just 1 second here. I'm just gonna ban a guy because he's just well, he's off his medication. I think this guy's off his medication, so. So yeah, he's done. Okay, yeah, I haven't taken creatine much, but there was another article that was written lately on creatine that talks about how it helps with the mitochondria of the cells and actually may help assist people with living longer. So that's definitely worth a look at. I think TC Luoma wrote that article. My brother forwarded that to me a little while ago. Yeah, thanks for the $2 there, Sean. And good, okay. So I'm just going to go through some questions here. I've been busy with some troll guys. There's quite a few psychopaths on here today. Hey, Randy, I'm just going to not answer your question there. I don't talk about other people. I have my own suspicions about certain things, but I don't say anything because it just becomes messy. So what's the biggest mistake of building muscle that I made? Biggest mistake was that I didn't listen to my own body. That's the biggest mistake. I don't know if I could have changed that though, because that's part of the whole awareness building, right? As you're training, you build more awareness. Because at first people, like I always used to hear people say in the bodybuilding magazines, listen to your own body, listen to your own body. And I'm like, what do they mean by that? Like, listen to your own body. Like, what does that mean? Thanks, A, for the $10. Thank you. Like, what do they mean by listen to your own body? I mean, it's, I just had no clue about what that meant. I knew I had coordination. I could feel my muscles to a point, but I didn't have mind-muscle connection with some muscles. And that just takes time. Sometimes after training over time, you start to develop that mind-muscle connection. So the biggest mistake was that when I had warning signs about something, I would push through anyway. And like say I had some real deep pain in lower back, it was kind of there and I just would push through it anyway, just because I felt guilty and I should push through the workout. Or, you know, like I said, and then there was some mistakes I made with rounding the back when I was first training when it came down to deadlifts, because, you know, everybody's saying deadlifts are the best thing and I was deadlifting from the floor. But again, I was oversimplifying a process which didn't take into account my own individual constitution. So I just did not know that that was a reality, that people were built differently. I wasn't aware enough at that time to know that. So I was trying to push my body in a way that wasn't right for it, even though somebody else could push their body in, and different rules applied because they were built differently. So the forces were playing out differently. So that's really the biggest mistake I made, 100%. No, Randy Bedro, I know you're not trolling at all there, buddy. So yeah, I didn't take it that way. So yeah, just thanks for that. Just you know, that's why I kind of just erase comments when it's about other YouTubers and stuff, just because I just don't. I don't even go there. Yeah, I'll let you guys come up with your own theories on that. Okay, so Smart says, I got a mountain joke. What's the laziest mountain? Okay, I don't know. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks for the $10 there, Leslie. The names they have on this chat. Yeah, Ricky Field. There is some pretty funny names on here. Okay. Boss, you keep asking me questions, but you slandered me before, so I don't know why you think that I'm going to answer your questions. So good luck with that. No, Leslie, thanks, buddy. I got the $10 from you. Thank you. And Celtic Pride, thanks for the $5. Yeah, Tristan Castangue. Yeah, you could tell the difference between a burn and a sharp pain. Yeah, they're totally different, right? So, but there's also dull ache, and then there's different flavors where there's a combination of both. So sometimes you don't have a sharp pain, but you have a dull, like a tightness in an area, and then you start to make relationships between that. That during times where you feel tight and sore, then you are a little bit more sensitive to injury. So say your chest is super tight and sore from a bench press workout, and then you go to do some dumbbell presses or some flies. That wouldn't be the good time to be doing aggressive fast reps on the bottom with super heavy weight, because all of a sudden the set point of tightness in the muscle has changed. So you want to be a little bit more careful, such as using a bit lighter weight during that time, or maybe not being so aggressive in the stretch until you're really good and warm, right? So there's these little subtleties in how you dance with the weights and how you dance with the soreness. And that plays a big role in how you choose to work out that day or not. Black sunlight. Show me some respect. Right hand, forehead salute. Yeah, thanks there, Hoyt Fitness. Thanks for tuning in and commenting on my videos and stuff. I have been watching you. Thanks, buddy. Mount Everest. Oh, that's a good one, Smart. Mount Everest is the laziest mountain. That's pretty good. I like that. Mo Ray, do you think slow training reps are better than fast reps? Well, Mo Ray, I just posted a video last night. So I want you, as a homework right now, go watch that video on slow reps. Okay? Just go watch those. It's a rep, I say rep speed, it's called. You just go down here in the videos, uploads, just check the uploads, and it's right on there. So I'm trying to give you $5 measly, but all I get is a close option when I click on the money symbol. What am I doing wrong? I don't know. Maybe somebody else in the chat can help you there, big guy. I don't know what might be going on there. Yeah. No worries, man. If you don't, like, you guys could always just, you could always buy some music from my website, or just give me a donation on there if this doesn't work. YouTube takes a large percentage anyway, so it's up to you, whatever you want to do. Okay, again, I don't make comments on other YouTubers there, guys, so. Any tips on dealing with bodybuilding stretch marks? I guess vitamin E oil or something like that might help. Vitamin E and some lots of oil, like coconut oil and all that kind of stuff, that might help. How long have I been doing YouTube? About 8 years. I think 2012. Yeah, 2012. Thanks to Tomatoes for the $2. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I've been doing it for 8 years, so it's been quite a long time. So I'm just looking at people's discussion between each other. So it's good you guys are educating each other on your own experiences. That's great. Because you know what? That's the other thing. That's the great thing about this type of stuff, is that you can actually learn from other people's experience. It doesn't mean that what they've experienced will be exactly the same for you. But if you notice that there's a lot of people who have had similar experiences, it at least opens you up to the possibility that might happen for you. And that's where you can grow in wisdom. How's the saying go? The old adage, like, an intelligent person learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from others' mistakes. It's kind of like that. So that's why I find that you can learn a bit from other people's experience, but then in the end, apply it to yourself and then see if that really relates or not. So that part I find is not being used enough with this Google age that we're in, where there's this incredible benefit of a lot of people sharing their experience, but then people are all automatically assuming that another person's experience will be their own, and that's not always the case. So that's the one part where you can grow in wisdom faster too, is realize that sometimes what's going on with other people is not necessarily going to be the same for you. Smiley J, I have a lot of, he's asking how to increase strength in bench press and deadlifts. I have a lot of tips on my other videos about how to increase strength. That's actually the name of the videos, how to increase strength. You know, increasing strength is really the same. Partial reps help, like heavy partials. They do help with increasing strength. Also, multiple sets with heavier weight, but not going to failure. That also helps. And this is the kind of Cole's Notes version of it. But doing heavy weights for multiple sets so you get that groove perfected. And the other thing is frequent training. So basically your goal is not to break down the muscle tissue so that way you can recover for the next workout and lift heavy, but you're trying to perfect that groove. And by perfecting that groove, you will gain in strength. That's really the thing. So yeah, those are 3 tips for you right there. What's more effective for chest development, squeeze or push? I'd say pushing is fine, but a lot of times pushing you will increase a lot of delt work and tricep work. But honestly, it's more about the stretch than it is the squeeze, I will say. GL, oh, thanks for the $20 there, buddy. See ya. Have a good night there, GL. Aloha. What do I think of aspirin as a good post-workout recovery drug? Nope, it'd be horrible for you, Stephen. It is a disaster. I've heard more bad things about people taking that than anything else. More people die from aspirin, apparently, than any other drug. So yeah, I would not recommend it. Anti-inflammatories are also horrible on your stomach and your digestion. So if you go with Ayurveda or Eastern medicine at all, they talk about digestion as the center of all disease and all problems. So if you start messing with your digestive system and start screwing up your stomach and getting ulcers and all this, you are going to have a huge disaster when it comes down to recovery and digestion. If you cannot digest your food, you will not heal and you will not recover. So yeah, horrible idea. Do not be taking aspirin as a daily regimen. It is not a good idea. Hey, Jason, just wondering how many gigabytes of RAM does your computer have? I plan on editing videos and starting a YouTube channel. Yeah. Well, the thing is that I have about 32 gigs on my iMac, but this is the reason why sometimes my videos are not coming out as much now is because I'm working with RAW files, and I can't work with RAW files with my present computer. I need to get a new computer to do that, and the RAW files, that's why you're getting different colors and different kind of cinematic type looks and stuff. That's what I'm doing. But that takes a lot more stuff. So it just depends what type of video footage you're going to work on. If you're working with video footage that's just the standard stuff from a camera, you can get away with 16 gigs or whatever, but it is better to have 32 gigs. But more importantly, I think it's the video card than ever. But the Mac Pros are actually really good if you're using a Mac. I don't know if you're using a Mac or a PC, but yeah, just make sure when you talk to a salesperson that it's good for 4K editing, and then you're going to be fine with most stuff. It might be slower though if you're going to use bigger 4K files, like such as ProRes as opposed to just MP4s, that sort of thing. So there's different formats of video files which will change things. If you're using GoPros and all this kind of stuff, then yeah, it'll be easy for you to edit no matter what, because that stuff's just small files. Those files aren't so big. Aaron F. Hey bro, found your channel a few weeks ago and become addicted. One of the best fitness channels around. Well, thanks, man. I'm glad. I've got 2 people now that have said this today. 2 people. Yes, I'm winning the game of YouTube. So, no, it's good, man. I'm glad you found me. A few people are liking some of my stuff, and a lot of people don't like it. But I'm glad that you like it, so thanks for being here. Yeah. Yeah, Randy Bedreau, speaking of digestion, I started eating sauerkraut with some of my meals. Helps a lot with digestion, just not too much. Yeah, it'll give you the runs if you have too much. But the thing is, yeah, there's lots of different things. And again, it's just scratching my armpit. I feel like that girl what's the Catholic girl? I think it was Mad TV or whatever, where she smelled her armpits when she's in front. I can't remember the name of that character. It was so funny. But anyway, you know, the thing is that it just depends what your weak link is, right? It's like strength. It's like muscular strength. It's like bodybuilding. It's always about what is the weak link in a person's system. Is it because they don't have enough acidophilus or gut bacteria? Is that why they're not digesting stuff? Or is it because they have an ulcer and they have a stomach acid problem? They don't have enough stomach acid, and that's changing the pH level of the digestion. I mean, I'm not an expert in this area, but through discussions with my brother and other people who are more wise in this area, you know, there's a lot of different things that can be off in a person's system, which can cause digestive issues. So depending on what that is will depend on what type of product or what type of food will be the medicine for them in that moment. Like right now, there's a bit of a scam going around with saying celery juice is the best thing ever. It'll just, this guy's saying God told him that, celery juice is this and whatever. Well, yeah, celery juice is great. It'll get out heat and inflammation out of the body, but it doesn't mean that that's what everybody needs all the time. I mean, what if a person doesn't have too much heat? What if they have too little heat in the body, too little inflammation? They need more blood. Well, then celery juice might not necessarily be the best thing for them. So the one size fits all is not always relevant, but it's good to experiment and see which things apply to you. Alexander Stevens, so you noticed that cinematic style looks pretty cool. You noticed that, Alexander. I'm glad somebody freaking noticed, because you know what? I'm working my ass off trying to get these different colors, the different types of looks. And it's like, people are like, well, yeah, great, another video, good. And it's like, took me like 5 hours to get that thing going. And then I talked to my brother, and my brother's like, he's hilarious. It's just like, well, I didn't notice anything different, right? He doesn't notice anything different. If it comes down to colors on a screen, it's like, oh, well, whatever. He wouldn't know the difference between iPhone footage or Steven Spielberg stuff. He wouldn't have a clue. So yeah, it's nice to sometimes, at least I enjoy it. It motivates me to make a video. So if I can play around with the look of it, make it pretty, or do something different with it, then that makes me motivated to actually make a video and talk about this boring subject called bodybuilding. Because you know what? I've been talking about this shit for 30 years. I need to find a different carrot in order to get me to talk about it, because otherwise it's just too much the same kind of hamster wheel over and over again, right? What do I think about fat burners? Well, fat burners, they can be a little detrimental to you. They'll cause a lot of muscle spasms or trigger points. They can cause a little bit of a problem when it comes down to muscle knots and stuff. So you watch that. I don't think that fat burners are really a good route. I mean, I'm not trying to say you're doing the horrible thing, because some fat burners and ephedra type stuff and mahang and these types of herbs have been used in Chinese medicine for a long time for bronchial dilation, and they can help you access and burn certain types of body fat more so than other body fat, because there's different body fat receptors in certain areas. But I do find that they can cause a lot of trigger points, muscle knots, and an overexcitement of the nervous system, which can cause other issues. Those things are banned in natural bodybuilding now. They're not allowed to be used, although they are in the natural, like cold medication, like neocitrin or something like flu medication. Sometimes you will find some of that stuff in there, and that's not banned. But yeah, I think excessive use of that stuff can cause some other issues or problems. Yeah. Hey, Ozzy, I don't got a mullet. You see this? You see this? This is not a mullet. See, a mullet, I mean, it's a shaggy ass hair, whatever, all over the place, but a mullet is shaved on the sides, you see, shaved on the sides, and then that's what a mullet is. So, calling my head a mullet is just stupid. Stupid. Randy Bedreau, you're really liking where the channel is going. I've watched every video put out this year. Well, thanks for tuning in there, Randy. And where is the channel going? I'm curious to see where you think it's going, because I don't know where it's going. So where is it going? Can you give me an answer on that? What sort of greens do I generally eat? I like broccoli. Broccoli is like one of my favorite greens. And I eat some kale on my protein shakes from time to time. That movie was Superstar. Okay, yeah, Aaron F., yes. That movie with the Catholic girl who used to smell her armpits, Superstar, but she also, what was it from Mad TV? Was it Mad TV or was it from A Living Color? I can't remember which show it was, the comedy show that she was on originally. Thanks, Ozzy, for being here, being a subscriber too. Yeah, Leslie Jackson, like grapeseed extract and stuff is all good for capillaries and things too. That's, and taking antioxidants and having extra antioxidants in your diet is never really a bad thing. Ozzy, thoughts about keeping the house cold to feel spry and burn fat to maintain 98.6 body temperature? Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I do think 100%. I will say one thing I have found that goes in alignment with what you're saying is I noticed during the wintertime, it's actually easier for me to get lean, although it's not comfortable because it's so freaking cold out. It is easier for me to get lean than in the summertime, ironically enough. So it does go hand in hand with the whole metabolism being faster in order to create body heat during the cold time, right? So that does make sense. But ice baths and stuff like that are relevant as well. So you might want to try to do the whole Wim Hof method type idea, getting in cold water, doing cold showers. This stuff does help kick a lot of heat out of the system, and there is a lot of potential for positive health effects from that. I find it very uncomfortable, and I do it here and there, but I don't do it all the time. But yeah, that can be something else you can experiment with too and see how you feel. Mary Catherine was the character. Yes, Saturday Night Live. Okay, thanks, Todd. Mary Catherine, she was hilarious. She's so funny. Yeah, Kung Fu Kickboxer. I should make a Gallant movie, a bio of a true natty. You could star in it. Yeah, I would star in it, but nobody would watch it. So that would be the problem. Yeah, not much point in making a movie when nobody's going to watch. Yeah. I mean, if I can't get people to watch my YouTube channel, how am I going to get people to watch my movie? I mean, you guys are great. I mean, but I'm saying like a larger audience. Like, yeah, it all starts with this, man. We're starting right here, starting with a grounded approach. Luke S. Mountain, whole food, plant-based nutrition. Any thoughts? Watch earlier on in this actual live chat later on. Just scroll back there, Luke, or I mean Todd. Luke, sorry, sorry, mixing people's names up here because it's a distance from me. Old man trying to look at the names. Yeah, look back in the chat and I talk about veganism and this kind of stuff. I mean, I do believe whole food plant nutrition is great. I mean, do I think it should be exclusive? Well, it depends on the person. When you're, okay, tomatoes, when you're ill and you don't feel hungry, do you still try to have some sort of protein? Yeah, I have in the past, but honestly, right now in my life, I just don't care about bodybuilding enough to be obsessive about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like for the last 3 or 4 years, I was really kind of trying to make sure my physique looked up to snuff, always on YouTube and everything. And I still train, but I don't care if I take an extra day off here and there. I don't care if I stick to my diet or not. I don't care because I'm not really with a goal right now. My goal is just to feel good. And my main goal always is my meditation practice and going inwards. That's my main thing. It's detachment from any of this stuff mattering so much. And then I come back into it and I play the game of bodybuilding for fun, right? But I'm not married to a strict regimen where it's like I got to obsess about whether my bicep is looking a certain way or whether I've got veins in my abs or whether my abs are really lean and stuff. I'm not really playing by the same parameters as a lot of the fitness YouTubers or fitness people in the industry. I'm not obsessing about how I look. You know, I'm more about how I feel within, like how much bliss, my blissometer, that's the most important thing. And then from there, I create, and then the bodybuilding is part of the creating, where the bodybuilding allows me to create the nice pictures and cinema and make some music and do that sort of thing. That's what I like. So I don't know if you guys liked the last video. If you can actually let me know, did you like the fact that I was just doing music and some visuals of me training in between talking? Did you like that? Or was that boring? Did you just scroll through it? Did you not like it? Because I try to put a couple little tips in there too with text to show what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So yeah, let me know if you like that, because I didn't mind making that video, and it does make a longer video, but it's something more for you guys to enjoy, and it has a bit more of a combination of a few things. So yeah, let me know what you thought of that. So ideally, during flu or sickness, chicken soup is like the best thing. Stuff with bone broth, stock, all this stuff is supposed to help with actually offsetting a lot of the symptoms when you're really sick. Having some protein is good, but I do find that the digestive system is not necessarily as easy to deal with when you're sick as well. So sometimes getting in something liquid is probably a better route. But don't worry about it. If you're sick for a couple of days or a few days and you're noticing your appetite is off, sometimes you're not supposed to eat during certain times. And I think the reason why is because your body doesn't want to use the energy for digestion at that moment. It wants to basically work on the reserves and use that to fight the flu in the immune system. So there's a reason why your hunger just dissipates or you do not feel hungry at that time. Your body is actually using some of that muscle store, of course, to fight off the flu, but those muscles will come back very quickly after you're done. So don't worry about that so much. But this is one of the reasons why bodybuilding is so healthy for you, because you're storing protein, which actually helps you build white blood cells, which helps you fight off flus and viruses. Ozzy, I should make a t-shirt that says the mountain says kiss my ass. Yeah, I know. It's like, honestly, you know what? I just don't have the patience, or I don't know. I've never really had, bliss is found within, and I do try my best to give people the benefit of the doubt. I mean, when I'm dealing with the people, because I'm dealing in my other work, I deal with people with different types of trauma and suffering and all this. But I do find that there's an immense amount of evil in some people where they just for the sake of their own entertainment, they want to torture you. And I just don't have any sort of, like, there's absolutely no patience in me for that. I'm not going to sit here and just, I don't live by a spiritual ideal, like as far as some sort of belief that, oh, everybody's nice, I'm just going to basically just put up with everybody's shit. Because I understand the limitation of a tiger. If I step into a tiger's cage and he's hungry, I'm going to trust that he will bite me. I'm not going to basically say, oh no, the tiger shouldn't be that way. He shouldn't have stripes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any idealism. I deal with people just like you would in martial arts, as far as, okay, you approach me with this, you approach me with a knife that I'm going to block and I maybe cause you to fall upon it, or I'm going to back away or run away or whatever I have to do, right? But because this is a platform called YouTube, and then people just jump into my cavern and then they start, throwing stuff at me, then I basically deal with them the way I can, right? And of course, I've got the microphone, so I've got all the power on here that way, right? So it's kind of like somebody coming into your house at a party, and then they just tell you, they start just coming into your house and then insulting you and whatever and telling you what to do, and they start knocking over furniture. I mean, you probably kick them out pretty quick. So that's kind of the way I've run this channel. Now, if I've had some really neat conversations with some people, though. Like there was this one guy that made a drug accusation this last week on my channel, but he turned out to be a pretty nice guy, because he was saying, hey, when did you stop using drugs? I'm like, I never have used drugs in my life. I never used any sort of performance enhancing drugs. I've always been natural. And then he goes, well, that's hard to believe and whatever. And then I explained to him, I said, well, listen, this, and just talked to him a little bit. And he goes, oh, well, I didn't know. Okay, well, thanks for explaining that. I'm sorry about that. Do you want me to erase my comment? I'm like, wow, what a nice guy. Like, he actually entered into the conversation with a false assumption, but he was open to the fact of maybe having a conversation and maybe having a connection. And those types of people are very great people. I mean, they're not coming with the intention of violence or just torturing you somehow. And those people, they're great people. I really love meeting people like that, because we all sometimes have false assumptions or think something at some point in our life or not, and sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. But we can still have some sort of good in our heart, to be cheesy here. But we can somehow have the intent of, hey, I want to connect to this person, and maybe my opinion's not so important if it turns out to be wrong. So yeah, I mean, sometimes dealing with trolls on this channel is kind of an interesting sort of experience, and it has been a bit of a challenge, but now I enjoy it. I use it as entertainment, so that's what I do. So that's why you see me not even editing myself. I just let her fly, right? So it makes it more fun for me. It's actually the suppression or having to be tortured because you're trying to make sure that nobody else is offended. That's actually what causes this to be not very fun. But if you could just let it fly and just like whatever, then it doesn't take so much energy. It doesn't drain you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No offense, but Justin Gallant kind of sounds like a porn star. I'm not Justin. My name's not Justin. So I guess you're in luck there, Ozzy. What do you think about using citrulline malate? I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard it does actually pretty good for muscle recovery and stuff like that, but I've never used it myself. Kung Fu Kickboxer, you keep on going with this numerology thing. Are you a 7? No, I am not. I'm not a 7. Fazical, you're asking the wrong guy. He's saying he wants to take drugs and he's asking what he should take. I have no clue. I'm not educated on that subject. I've never used any, so how would I be able to tell you? And if I were you, I wouldn't be asking somebody that never used drugs because they're not going to give you very good advice. I mean, like this is the problem with Google nowadays, right? People are asking for advice, and these people that they're asking have no experience in that area. So honestly, as a life lesson, seriously, do not ask for financial advice from a person who has no money. Do not ask for physical fitness advice from somebody that has no physical fitness. I mean, if a guy's 400 pounds overweight, you're not going to ask him fat loss tips. I mean, if he's never been shredded in his life, you're not going to ask him how to lose body fat. So in this moment, you should not be asking me a question like that. I'd probably harm you more than help you in that case. All I can recommend, though, is don't use that stuff because it's stupid. Because one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, oh, wow, I traded a huge amount of my health, and now 10 years has passed, and now I got to live the rest of my life with this crippling disease or problem or organ issue just because my ego, I couldn't get a hold of my fucking ego at some point in my life because I wanted to look better at the bar or some shit. I mean, seriously, you're going to hugely regret it. I mean, there's a long list of people who lost their lives because of their ego. Don't be one of them. Kung Fu Kickboxer, sorry, man, you're a sucker for numerology. Well, numerology is pretty cool too. So, I mean, when you combine it with a lot of astrology, and it's pretty cool. Once it gets in depth into the science of it, it's pretty cool stuff. Back when you competed, did you food prep? If so, what meals did you prep? I didn't really food prep as much as, I don't know, I guess it depends what you mean. What I would do is I would make a bunch of chicken breasts in the oven and a bunch of rice and broccoli and whatever, and throw that into containers and throw it in the freezer and I microwave stuff. Now I don't use a microwave anymore because I don't like the radiation on the food and all that kind of stuff. So I heat things up in a pan. So I don't really do that. So that's hugely inconvenient when I eat now. I mean, because I make things mostly fresh. But once I started to get closer to the contest, then I'd change more to potatoes and yams. And then at some point I'd actually have such small amounts of potatoes and yams, I could just make them fresh every day. And then I would have just some berries with some egg whites in the morning or something like that. But I'd make the chicken all in advance, and then I would eat it throughout the day. And a lot of times I would make chicken every day or every 2 days, like my whole portion, and then I would eat that throughout the day because eating it fresh was easier for me to get it down than having it frozen. Yeah. Ozzy says my name sounds like a porn name. Well, I don't think Jason sounds like a porn name. I mean, but whatever. But okay. Yeah, Ozzy, I think you should embrace your opinionated side much more. Well, I'm trying to keep, you know, the problem is that because here's the other thing right now, right? Because people are so butthurt about opinions or words or like say you have an opinion about something at some point in your life. Like how many times in your life has your opinion changed about something? Like how many times? Like sometimes you think a certain way about something 2, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, and then all of a sudden you think a little bit, some more information came to light and then your opinion changed. But in that entire scenario, who you are never changed, right? You were the same person, but your opinion changed. So the atrocity that's happening right now in the world is that people are hating each other based on opinions that they have here in this moment, whereas their opinions are not even actually going to be the same later on. Sometimes they're hating somebody because they have an opinion, but meanwhile, a year later, 2 years later, all of a sudden their opinion shifts because some new information comes to them, and now they're like, oh, that person I've just fucking discarded out of my life might have been the best friend I ever had, but because I had a false opinion about something, I cut them off or severed them out of my life. So people have to understand that I get it. Some opinions, yeah, they're war words. I mean, if somebody has an opinion that I wish to abuse your wife or whatever, like, and that's their opinion and they're acting on it. Yeah, okay, good. They're your enemy. I get it. But what I'm saying is that some people have an opinion like, I like this car and you don't like that car. I don't like you because you don't like the same car I like. Like it's happening in politics. It's happening in you know, pharmaceutical industry where somebody says, oh, this vaccination is a good thing. And this person's saying, no, it's not a good thing. And then both people are uneducated on the fucking subject in most cases. This is the problem. They're just reading a bunch of shit on the internet. They have no personal experience in it, none. And then they're basically hating another person based on their own ignorance. So this is the problem right now. This is the atrocity that's happening. So this is the minefield that I'm wading through right now too, because what happens is that if I share an opinion, which is based on an experience that I know to be true, then chances are an ignorant person comes to my channel, they are holding on to a certain level of ignorance, and I know something, 100%. It's not an opinion anymore. I've tested it, scientifically proved it to myself, and I know it's true. When I say this and they're not ready to hear it, then they hate me for it, and then I lose business or lose viewership or lose any sort of opportunity to make a deeper relationship with that person. So this is kind of why being opinionated sometimes causes issues and problems, because you never get a chance to have a relationship because people are too identified with their opinion in this day and age. And that's the truth. They don't care about friendship. Most people do not care about connection. They, like, if you talk to your neighbor, I mean, it's almost like a rarity. I mean, for years, people live right beside each other and they don't even talk. I mean, it's amazing to me. Like, there's not really a lot of connection in this day and age because people are on the internet or they're on their phones or whatever. I have more connection with you guys than I do with a lot of people around me because they're just not interested in friendship. So the thing is that until this changes somehow, it's going to be harder for people to find the truth because, like I said, people are incredible educators. When somebody says, hey, this has been my experience, and when somebody shares their experience, and then you say, okay, wow, okay, so let's find out the details and the variables of that experience and what really happened. If you really are open to absorbing that, there are some pieces of wisdom that you may be able to find from that. But if you're holding on to a dogma or a fanatical thinking that is not grounded in practicality or reality, but you're saying, no, I believe this, and so you automatically discount this scientific study that went on with this other person, then you're going to basically be disconnected constantly, and you're not going to evolve as fast in this life. So yeah, that's the thing. So when I'm creating content, I have to take this into account. People sometimes can receive the truth, but most of the time you have to water it down so that way they can receive what they're ready for. And that's the truth when it comes down to teaching people spiritually or meditation-wise or anything. If you tell them that, hey, that trauma or that experience you have inside right now, it's not going to hurt you, and they believe it's going to hurt them, you can't tell them that to them because they believe that, and now you've become the enemy because you don't believe what they believe, even though you're trying to help them. So, yeah, if people really trusted their heart and actually connected to a person and say, okay, where's this person's words coming from as opposed to what are the words, they would be much better off instead of looking at the superficial puppet show in the front, instead of actually reading the person deeper within, right? But if people can't read themselves, there's no way they're going to read the person in front of them. They can't even read themselves. They're so out of touch with themselves. How can they be in touch with the person that's in front of them? So this is what needs to change in the world, honestly. And this is going to really help people understand their own wisdom and how to find out how not to be charlataned or lied to. This is the other thing. I mean, because if you're listening to just words blindly, I mean, like on a very stupid level, if you just listen to somebody's words, they can lie to you or they can tell you the truth. That's it. Because you're not feeling where the words are coming from. But if you can feel that this person's just a bad dude or has a hidden agenda, then you'd be able to feel that, hey, most likely this word that they're saying it's got some sort of slight in it. There's some sort of violence or some sort of lie in there, right? So yeah, awareness is everything. Okay, so Fazico, love your vids. Do you go to the bodybuilding events anymore? No, not too often. I'm kind of lazy. Jack Frost, you're angry for some reason. Your face says it all. No, man, I'm intense, Jack Frost. So I'm intense. And yeah, I am basically, intensity is what people call angry sometimes when they don't understand the difference. They call intensity angry because they think everything should be placid and just calm like a storm. Everything should be like this. But when you're bench pressing, are you calm like a storm when you're bench pressing? Are you calm when you're doing a 1 rep max on some sort of lift? Are you calm when you are facing adversity, right? Sometimes calmness doesn't do it. There's a reason why the monks learned Kung Fu, and there's a reason why samurais carried swords. It doesn't mean they were not intensely spiritual and not intensely at peace within themselves. But on the outside, when you walk into a battlefield, then there is a different language that must happen between you and the adversity. And sometimes intensity is the weapon, and sometimes placidity or calmness, or whatever you want to call it, is the weapon. It just depends on who you're dealing with. But based on your observation, you're proving my point. You look superficially on the outside and assume that you know what's going on inside. And that's the problem with the world. Jack Frost, again, UK. No, Jack Frost, I'm not. You must be new here, Jack. Hey there, Jack Off. Are you new here? Hey, Jack. I mean, Jack Frost. I like that movie, by the way. Jack Frost was a good movie. Jack Frost, are you still there? Jack Frost, still there, Jack? No message now. Jack has gone silent. He was asking if I was gay because maybe he was hoping. I don't know. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. There you go. All right. Why are you asking, Jack? What's going on there, buddy? You must be new, right? You just got here? You never tuned into this channel before? I don't know if you walk into parties and just make false assumptions about somebody right away without having a conversation, but yeah. So sometimes, because sometimes you walk in the middle of a conversation. You've seen it to guys that get punched out in the street sometimes in TikTok videos or Instagram, where there's this guy talking intensely to another person, and then another person steps in the middle of the conversation, and they think that they know what's going on, and they know who the bully is and who the person that's the victim, and they make a false assumption, and then something happens, and then it turns out to really work out badly for them. Yeah, sometimes that happens. So yeah, my lesson to you is get to know somebody first before you make false assumptions there, Jack. Yeah. That's I don't know how old you are, whether you're 20 or whether you're 104 or whether you're 12. I don't know, but that really is going to be helpful advice for you. Yeah, like the thing is though, Jack, again, I understand that sometimes we're in this complicated world that we're in. I get it, Jack. Okay. Complicated world we're in. We're just trying to get a kind of feel for, okay, who is what, and who's identifying with what, and how do I socially kind of interact with this person? So sometimes having those labels helps you understand. But sometimes asking random questions like, hey, do you murder people and put them in your basement, when there's no context to it, doesn't really make sense. Like, I'm not here wearing a dress. I'm not here talking feminine. Not to say that these stereotypes are the only way that person could be of a certain sexual orientation, but I'm just saying there's not really any hints in that direction. So I don't know why you would be making an assumption like that. So just because I have long hair and it's messy as hell, I mean, I don't know anybody that I know that is. Anyway, I'm gonna stop there. But I'm just saying, yeah. Yeah, saying random shit is okay. I mean, I get it. But because I'm such a small channel, and this is kind of like almost like a party, it's you kind of stand out like a sore thumb. It's kind of like just going into a place where there's like you're at a funeral and there's like 20 people there, and then all of a sudden you make a joke about the guy that just died. It just falls flat. It's just sometimes there's the right time to make a really dumb comment, and sometimes there's the wrong time. And I have been victimized by this myself, as far as like sometimes I've made mistakes socially. Especially when I was a younger guy or whatever, and I would just say the wrong thing at the wrong time. You're like, oh shit, that was the wrong thing, but I didn't realize it was the wrong thing. So I get it. Sometimes this is like the training wheels for you to learn how to be socially interactive with people. So I get that. As long as you're here for connection in the end, that's all I care about. If you make a random, weird kind of comment, I don't care. But just as long as you're using it as an excuse to connect and we're growing in some sort of community, then it's no problem, right? As long as it's not hate and all that. So thanks there, Nada, for the $5. What are my thoughts on the carnivore diet? Big rise in popularity lately. Just another fad. Stories of people healing. Curious thoughts. Yeah, Nada, I think again, it's like the veganism thing. It's like the carnivore thing. It depends what is the weak link in a person's system. And a lot of times blood sugar is an issue. And a lot of times when people are on the more vegetable type stuff, they start to eat a lot of grains. They start to eat a lot of potato chip type stuff or tacos, or they're eating lots of pastas and breads. And some people don't respond well to those types of carbs. It doesn't mean that carbs are bad for them, but those types of carbs are definitely not going to be good for them. So because of that sensitivity, maybe when they go on a carnivore diet, maybe they're just avoiding those types of foods that actually offset their system where they have a sensitivity to. So this can sometimes cause a balancing sort of effect. Do I think carnivore diet long-term is the best possible thing? I don't know. I mean, there have been cultures that have lived like that, and they seem to be pretty healthy at the time when they were. But again, I think it's just going to be on a case-per-case basis. And I think everything is a fad, yeah. I think in the end, it's a combination of a bunch of fads that you have to put together that are relatable to you. But I wouldn't say that one lifestyle choice or another is the exact right thing for everybody. Yeah, warrior statue. Like whenever you eliminate certain things, that you definitely can get a benefit. And honestly, if you're on a carnivore diet, I think a lot of people have too little protein in their diets. That's the other thing to really take into account. I mean, they naturally don't have enough protein. So as soon as they go to carnivore, they're having more protein or higher quality type protein, and that can help rejuvenate, help restore like blood sugar balances. And at the same time, people seem to be not as sensitive to meats as they are with all the vegetables and GMO foods we're getting right now, like the corn and also the stuff that's stored. Like if we have grains that are stored for a long period of time, there happens to be more molds and things in them as well. So that also plays a role in how the body's immune system functions. Laura Schlobo, what is the best diet? There's no such thing as the best diet there, Laura. There's just the best diet for you. Laura, just anything that stabilizes your blood sugar is going to be the best, but at the same time, it provides you with enough protein to recover. And a lot of times, the protein foods are not necessarily the snackable foods. They're not necessarily the enjoyable foods, like eating just chips or something, like or cookie dough or pizza, So the lower fat meats with greens and a good decent complex carb is usually the basis of most diets that work well. And then when you want to lose body fat, you cut back on the carbs a little bit and replace more with green and protein. So, 1989, Jason, are you a very social person in your real life? Because I'm leading a fake life right now. Yeah, okay. I'm a really social person, but I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. And so much of society is based on that. So who do I hang out with, right? And a lot of people my age are dysfunctional in some way. I mean, most people in their 40s are dysfunctional is not the right word. What I'd say is almost they're crippled based on the survival obligations of life, family obligations. They don't have time to be creative. The last thing they're thinking about is being creative on the weekends. A lot of times they're just thinking about what they're going to be doing with their family, their kids. They don't have time for friends. That's the bottom line. So I'm more a creative type person. I like to create. I like, playing games. I like, anything from video games to Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. I like reading novels and books. Like I'm more like an artist, but I enjoy creativity as well. Like I enjoy it. I enjoy music. I enjoy the stuff. And I find a lot of people in North America are more based in when can they get drunk next or when can they super achieve something, but they don't have a lot of playtime in there. And playtime is where the best time is with friendships and things. So I used to be around a lot of circles of people when I was playing a lot of hockey because you'd be playing on hockey teams and stuff. But even that culture, a lot of times the teams that they'd be drinking after the games or going up to the pub and just getting hammered, And I just was never into that. So I love playing the games. That was a great excuse to hang out with the guys and stuff. But there's not really a lot of rituals that people take part in now. And I don't have a lot around me. And I in my town in Harrison Hot Springs, there's a lot of retired people, but they're older and they're really stuck in their ways. They're not interested in the stuff that I'm doing. So it's kind of not. I wouldn't say I have a vibrant social life. When it comes down to just my day-to-day sort of thing. I'm usually on my own doing my thing, and then my brother and I hang out from time to time, and I talk to people here and there, but I don't have weekly rituals or patterns that I do with a lot of people. I'm working with different students and stuff when it comes down to meditations and things. But yeah, I mean, that's mostly where my interactions are happening on a lot of cases, yeah. Thanks, Ozzy, for the $5. Smart. Where did the mountain come from? Did you look at your bicep peak one day and say mountain, or was it overall strength that you made you think a mountain? Well, actually, neither. Smart. It's like when I moved to Harrison Hot Springs, I looked around and there was mountains, and I started I just couldn't think of what to say that day, so I started just being goofy in front of the camera and saying, look, sky, mountain, lake, and start talking with some sort of wise man accent of some sort, and then it just kind of took off, and then I just started saying it randomly, and then it became kind of funny. And then that's how it stuck. And then now it's just happened all the time. So yeah, it was more like me making fun of a wise man some sort of way and just going mountain. And then that was it. So yeah. Jari Hankanen, are you at your mother? I don't understand what you're saying. Speak English there, buddy. How many times in a week do you train? The last couple of weeks I haven't been training that much, only 3 or 4 days, but yeah. Hey man, can I plug my book I self-published on Kindle? Yeah, go ahead there, Kung Fu. Yeah, thanks. It's a fantasy book, right? You wrote a fantasy book on vampires or something? Oh, warrior statue. Thanks for the $10 there, buddy. Yeah, thanks. Oh, good, Ozzy. I'm glad you figured out how to use the whole super chat thing. So thanks, Ozzy. Do I take weeks off? You know, that's a great thing to talk about there, Oscar Serta, because I know a lot of, like, there's top bodybuilders that take weeks off. Sometimes they take months off training. They just don't train. They don't even touch a weight. And I think, you know, back in the day, if you would have asked me that, I would say, oh, you know, that's maybe not a good idea. But the funny thing is, and I did share this in an experience in a video a few years ago, where I had a friend, through a series of accidents, he couldn't train at all for 6 months or a year, or sometimes, you know, and I hate to say it, but he was a bit of a drinker. So sometimes he would fall off the wagon and he would just not train at all for 6 months. Just didn't even go to the gym. Just forget about it. He'd go to work, go to the bar or whatever he's doing. And then he would come back into the gym. And within a month, it looked like he had never left the gym. His body started to come back. He started to look good. As long as he was eating well, he just had this enthusiasm and he was doing great and he looked awesome. So I almost wonder, you know, and this is something I've been experimenting with lately. Like I've taken some time off training legs for a little bit, just to recover the knees, get the knees, you know, working properly and making sure they're feeling good. And I do feel that there could be a benefit to just taking a good month or two off of just training and then getting back into it with a newfound enthusiasm. And the reason why I say this is because I do feel like the deeper ligaments and tendons and bones in the body, you know, like if you break a bone, it takes 6 months to heal, or 6 weeks to heal, not 6 months, but 6 weeks. So based on that, if there are subtle sort of damages or things that are in the body that are going on, yeah, sometimes a good rest can take place and it might help you a lot. So I think this is something to look at. I'm not against it. I was just actually thinking about that today. So, I mean, I know most of us, we don't want to get out of the groove and out of the habit, and we want to make sure our physiques are looking great all the time. But at the same time, yeah, I do think that sometimes that can be also a detriment to your overall health, because sometimes you do need that rest time. You do need that hibernation time to have a rejuvenation stage to the body. And I think through that intense death and rebirth, I think there can be something more positive that comes from it. So, yeah, who knows what I'll do. You know, who knows? I might take a month of training off in the future or something. Like, you never know. But I think it all depends on what you feel you need at the time. But if you're getting a lot of muscle aches and sprains and you're sore all the time, your neck's tight and your back's tight and your body's just, you know, rejecting training, yeah, take some time off and see what happens. Take 7 years off. Tristan says that's funny. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking to see if I missed somebody's stuff up here. Is training in a 3 rep range and testing 1 rep max often build muscle? Would you be better off training in a higher rep range? Well, Christoph, I hope you don't have to find out the hard way, but training in the 3 rep range and doing 1 rep maxes often, once you start getting stronger, depending on your constitution, but if you're built like most people, you're going to get injured doing that. That's just a fact. That is just too heavy. I used to have guys that were 15, 16 years old come into my garage to do bench presses, and what they would do every week is test their 1 rep max and just do sets of 3 reps or whatever, just straining all the time. And every one of them, and I'm telling you, there's like several of them. There was 2 or 3 of them that would come to, and this is in a period of 6 months. And they would come because they'd see me getting bigger biceps and they see Jason's training, you know, and I wasn't a popular kid, but I started to get a little bit more known for muscles. And so then guys would come to my garage because I had a gym. They're like, oh yeah, cool. And the town I lived in had no gyms. It just had a leisure center with a really shitty gym in there. So they come to my house because it was like awesome. It was like Gold's, you know, Gold's gym in a way. Because I had a bench press and a squat rack and stuff. So they came over and they'd be testing their strength all the time, and every one of them ended up with a shoulder injury because they wouldn't be doing, you know, rep ranges that were reasonable. Their body would just break apart. So yeah, thanks. They're smart. Yeah, a lot of people said I should have more subscribers, but I guess I don't have more subscribers because what I'm saying is not necessarily um, not necessarily. I'm not necessarily resonating with the ego, and yeah, it's the standard sort of thing of the deal with the devil, right? The archetypal story of the mythology of the deal with the devil. The devil gives you all the flash and the cash and all the ego desires, right? With a price you pay ultimately in the end somewhere. But in the beginning, it seems like a great deal because it's something for nothing. You get everything, right? You don't have to pay for it. Here's $1 million. You don't have to pay for it. I'm giving things straight. Like, I'm not overly saying, hey, do this and then you're gonna be all perfect. Do this and everything's gonna work out fine. Do this and you're gonna be Mr. Olympia. Like, I'm not giving instant answers to that, and that's usually what people want. And even if you're telling them lies, most people would rather pay for a lie than pay for the truth. And that's kind of the thing. And I think a lot of people are growing in wisdom where they're seeing that there's a false thinking there, and they're kind of sick of buying lies. And I think you're seeing this in the mass consciousness, which is why I think people are arguing all the time and fighting about politics, all this stuff. They're really trying to find out what the truth is amidst all this drama. So I think there may be a shift at some point where people start to value what I'm doing more so. But yeah, I think ultimately that's probably why I'm not, super popular on YouTube when this channel, yeah. Oh, thanks there, Kung Fu. Found this washing machine. That's it. Thanks, brother. Yeah, Tristan, yeah, you found my channel because you played PS4 one time with me. Yeah, nice. That's good. I didn't know that you came from PS4. That's cool, man. That's nice. Yeah, no, sometimes I spam people on PS4 once in a while, or I just talk to them. And sometimes, people ask me what my name means, or I ask what their name means. And then sometimes the conversation starts like that. Yeah. Yeah, Iron Warrior, that's a good piece of advice there. If you experience issues in your training from doing 3 rep sets, then back off on doing them. Yeah. Yeah, Vet Wound, the 2-1. Okay, the 2-1. That's a weird name. The 2-1. Besides time off in relation to joint health, have you ever used fish oil or turmeric? Yeah, all the time. I mean, sometimes I'll have tuna belly at sushi as well, which is high in fish oils. And but yeah, salmon oil and turmeric. I have a lot of times. I like to eat a lot of curry and stuff. So, but yeah, turmeric as a supplement is obviously going to be a higher concentration. I have used that from time to time. I should actually start taking some more of that because it is extremely healthy. Turmeric is great. Why do my legs and glutes get sore almost every lower body day, but my upper body rarely gets sore? I think it has to do with the amount of lactic acid and a substance called hydroxyproline that's released during muscular damage. And I think that happens during with certain muscle fiber types. And I noticed the lower body has a certain dominant muscle fiber type as opposed to the upper body in a lot of cases. And again, this could be different for each person, but yeah, it might have something to do with that. Thanks for the $2 there, Smart. Tony the Tiger, do you even lift, bro? Yeah, I do. I do lift. I have lifted lots. You don't look like you lift, though. But how can I tell from a name, right? I don't know. See, this is the thing. People come into a party. It's kind of like a KKK member showing up to a person's party, and people are all of different types of ethical dissents, and then they wonder why they end up getting the shit beat out of them. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? it's so funny. Like, there's just no context to how people sometimes interact with it. Like, instead of saying, "Hey guys, how's it going? Let me introduce myself," they just come in with an insult right away, or they just, what are you doing? What are you fucking doing? I don't know. What games do I play online? I just play Blackout, like Call of Duty 4 sometimes, because I like the. Honestly, I like the interaction with people. I actually like the conversation with people and working teamwork wise and stuff. That's really what I do. And sometimes I'll play like Star Wars Battlefront, stuff because I enjoy Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Yeah. And I do, and Fazik's asking what games do I play and if I play often. Yeah, I play quite a bit. Yeah, I play every day for a bit or something. Yeah. I kind of use it in between, like say when I'm rendering video and then I'll play a game while I'm waiting for the rendering, then I go back and forth on the computer. A lot of times that's happening too. So it's a way I kind of kill time in between doing stuff if I'm not answering comments and stuff. Do you think tuna is bad to eat due to the mercury? You know, Justin, I think for sure there's definitely an element of that there, 100%. But in the end, I just try to trust that my body will know how to process it. And then, you know, there are some supplements out there that help pull heavy metals out of the system. They're intense extracts of chlorella. My brother does have some of that at the clinic. And you notice, like, when you take just a couple drops of this stuff, it helps pull the heavy metals out of the system. So some of your naturopaths will have this. Now, it's important for you to note that it's not chlorella itself that you get from the store. That's not going to be strong enough. There's this extremely strong stuff. It's I don't know how to describe it, but it's not necessarily chlorella, but it's a certain form of that, which actually helps pull out heavy metals out of the system. So it's so powerful that if you do it too much, you'll cleanse too hard and actually, you know, get some side effects from it. So you don't want to take too much. But I have taken some of that from time to time because, yeah, we do have a heavy metal issue in the world right now. Yeah. Jason, do you think that one-arm push-ups are a good exercise to build the chest? I don't think there is as good of exercise to build the chest as they are the core, because the core, at least for me, I feel the hips and the back more than I feel the chest. Yeah. My dream is to build my own city and get big as F. I don't know what you mean by that, Tristan. Are you talking about Minecraft? Are you talking about real life? Kung Fu Kickboxer, you're saying weird. What's weird there, buddy? Samuel Denman, I love being sore. I feel like it's very hard for me to get sore anymore. A good deep massage brings out locked-in soreness. I signed up for this wellness club, so I get cheap massage. Yeah, massage is great. Real life, bro. Real life. Yeah, okay. You want me to scroll up there, Kung Fu? Okay, Kung Fu, all right. I'm getting sore for 2 days after work, or what's with that? Okay. You're getting sore for 2 days after work, or what's with that? Nothing. I mean, sometimes it's more about when you get sore for 2 days after a workout, sometimes it's just because you're doing a lot of volume. And like if you do less volume, you'll get sore for less days. I'm sure you find that, right? So depending on the frequency, it will depend on how sore you get a lot of times, or depending on the volume, right? So take that into account. And my child free? Is it just me and my wife? Yes. My wife, she has a son from a previous relationship, but he doesn't. He's on his own. He's grown up and everything. But yeah, no, I don't have any kids. I never really wanted kids, honestly. My brother has a couple, and they're pretty cute and everything. But I never had this massive like need for it. It's almost like I'm raising kids through social media. It's like I'm imparting wisdom in different ways. But yeah, I never had that yearning, that paternal yearning. Okay, Jack Frost, you pissing me off again or what? You're saying he is a gay man, not sexually gay. I don't understand what you're saying there, Jack. I'm not gay. I mean, that would be news to my wife if I was, but whatever. Okay. Clean diet, or if it fits your macros. I made a video on this channel. If you look it up there, Corona, just go on videos, playlists. If it fits your macros, just look it up. But yeah, I believe clean dieting is going to be healthier for you in the end, although I have done it if it fits your macros from time to time. Alexander, I don't comment about other people. Yeah, Jack, but Jack, why are you? Yeah, I know you're just trying to be a shit rat. I mean, I understand you're just trying to be an ass, just for fun, just to make random comments. But understand that the platform you're on, when you're making comments through the side thing, you know that people will misunderstand what you're saying, and you're doing that on purpose. just to get a rise or a reaction. So it's kind of immature in a little bit, you know. So just like have a normal conversation, man. Like, I mean, you were doing it for a little while there. You don't have to be a Tourette syndrome guy here all the time. Just randomly, just like just saying whatever comes to your head that's going to get a reaction of people. Like, I mean, I remember there's some special kids in my class in elementary school. They always would say things because they knew it would get a rise out of people because there was a double meaning of what they're saying. And then they ended up having to sit at the back of the class with their nose to the wall. I mean, I know that doesn't happen nowadays, but it used to happen when I went to school. So don't make me put you at the end of the class there, Jack. The new guy that has the bench press record says that the back muscles are more important than the chest and the bench. Do you agree? I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's going to be depending on how you're built and where your insertions are and where your muscle attachments are. And that's going to play a big role in which one is more dominant. So, but the thing is, when a guy has a bench press record and he's lifting 800, 900 pounds, like, yeah, I'll take his word on that, because it definitely, the lats and the teres major and all this do help stabilize the shoulders, as well as when you're retracting the spine and getting in the right position, just to hold that retraction at the same time as push. Yeah, I'm sure it plays a role for sure. How much, I think, will depend on the person. How long was it since the last time I worked for someone else or had a corporate job? 2011 was the last time I worked for somebody else. Yeah, that was the last time I worked for somebody else, and realized the insanity that goes on in most corporations. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not saying that every corporation is bad, but I worked for this car dealership for a while, and it was amazing. It was like they had you sit in an office all day waiting for customers, but then they decided to do construction on their parking lot, so you couldn't have any customers because nobody could come in and look at cars. But then they said, you still need to be at the office just sitting there, because we're paying you not really much because you're getting commission, but they're paying you a little bit. And they're saying, well, we want you to sit here and just wait for customers, even though there's no customers. There was like, I think, one a day that would come in, and there was 3 or 4 salespeople on. And I'm like, wouldn't it make sense for me to work more on social media and to meet people at coffee, go to their houses, start marketing in a different way, set meetings with people to do sales? And they say, that sounds like a good idea, but no, we don't want you to do that. We want you to just come to the office. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So I just quit eventually, because I was like, you're basically saying I can't make a living here, So yeah, sometimes I find with corporations, they have different agendas that don't necessarily make sense. And yeah, that's difficult to deal with sometimes. Yeah. What's my opinion on RNatty or a subreddit or juice subreddit calling out for juicing? Alexander, the thing is, a lot of times people that run these types of things are butthurt assholes that have never gotten any results themselves, or they basically are guys that have certain genetic limitations, and then basically anybody that has more results than they do, they automatically call them not natty. That's basically what happens, because they're mad about it. They're jealous or something. I don't know. It's just, understanding the evil of other people is really difficult, because it's not always coming from a place of logic. They pretend that it's coming from a place of truth and justice and the American way type idea, but really what they're trying to do is establish authority for themselves so they can market their own services or products, or they're just trying to slander somebody because they enjoy watching somebody else burn. That's it. But it has nothing to do with truth. That's all I can say. So yeah, I mean, people can say anything they want, but a lot of times I've found that people in these little bulletin boards, whether it's on Reddit or whether it's on some sort of simplyshredded.com or somewhere like that, a lot of times these people are talking from a position of jealousy and their own insecurity. So, I haven't made a video about this kind of stuff because it's almost worthless to make, because when you start talking and saying the truth, what happens is they just say, oh, no, you're not. And then that's it, because they're not open to anything you're saying. They don't care about what you're saying. And that's it. So what do you do? Francis Drake, have you ever thought about using clickbait title in your review? I've used some clickbait titles here and there. How to get big, how to get strong, how to, that kind of thing. That's about as clickbaity as I can get, I guess. Selwood 1989, do you see more good or evil or selfishness in most people in general? I'd say there's a combination of all of it going on at the same time, and depending on what the dominant trait is at the time will depend on what part of the person you get. But the truth is, most people are not fulfilled. They're not automatically okay. They're not anchored within their true self. They're still stuck in their ego, which is dominated by suffering. And most people are letting that run the show, and that's where they're making their decisions from. And so that's what we would call, partially evil, or, maybe not in alignment with truth or whatever. So yeah, I would say the majority of the planet is not enlightened. Let's put it that way. I mean, that's a pretty much safe assumption. Most of the planet is not enlightened, and they're not ready for it, and they reject every opportunity to become more enlightened. So, yeah. Okay, Alexander, I'm not gonna, again, I don't let names of other YouTubers be put on here, because then anything I say can be perceived as insulting them or whatever, and I'm trying not to do that. So, but Alexander, I'll answer your question. You're saying, what do I perceive of this industry in YouTube or Instagram where people are using drugs and then they're open about it and they're talking about it and they're basically promoting that lifestyle? And what do I think about that? I think it's harmful. I think it's extremely wrong. I think it's good that the truth is out there about what these guys are doing to themselves. But what I find is that most of the time, by the time these guys hit their expiration date, by the time they die, they've already affected about 10 years worth of kids or people that were mesmerized by that lifestyle choice, and then they fell for it. You know what I'm saying? So the problem is, a lot of these guys show more the positive side of it, because once they fucking die, they're not around to show the death part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to make a YouTube video when you're dead. You know what I'm saying? So I find that this is the problem. It's basically glorification, or basically creating a glamour around a lifestyle choice that is actually killing people and causing a problem. So I think there's a tremendous amount of harm that's being done from it. I don't think there's anything good from it in that way. Although I do appreciate the fact that they're being honest about what they're choosing to do. I don't like the fact that they're promoting it in a lot of cases and saying, oh, this is what it is. So yeah, there's a good and bad to it, but yeah, I find that there's a lot of people that are they're easily swayed. They'd be swayed by anything, because people, by their very nature, a lot of times are looking for the easy way. They're not understanding that there is always a price to pay for everything. There is nothing in this world for free. There is always a price. You always have to give to receive, and then receive and you give. This is happening just like breath. And if you're going to get something the easy way, then there's going to be some repercussion that you got to pay down the line. And that's the way it is. And yeah, until people realize that truth, they're going to keep on making stupid decisions, right? So voice of reason, do I ever go to bodybuilding events? Somebody asked this question before. I'm not sure if that was you or not. But no, I don't, not too often, no. Francis Drake, how good are you in arm wrestling? I was okay in arm wrestling, but when I dislocated my shoulder and stuff, now the shoulder joint has to be stabilized by the bicep, so I never would want to be arm wrestling, it'd be too much of a risk to the bicep tendons. Yeah, Jack Frost, whatever. You're just trying to twist things around again because you're misunderstanding shit. The thing is, there's nothing for free in life. Like, there's nothing easy. Like, for instance, people that automatically want to be healthier, but they don't want to exercise, they don't want to make any choices with their diet. This is what I'm talking about. They want to just instantly get everything for free and everything easy. Nothing's easy. Like, everything requires a trade of some sort. That's just the way it is. That's life. You know, if everything doesn't require anything, just sit in your house that you don't have to pay for, sit on the floor, and don't do any exercise, and don't get up because that requires effort. Don't get up to go downstairs to get something to eat because that requires effort. Don't trade the effort for that either, right? Don't trade the effort of inhaling air because that's too much effort. Don't do that either because that's still a trade. But you're saying, no, there's not. Everything's free. This is what I'm talking about. There's always a trade for something. And if something comes really easy, like the drug dealer lifestyle, all that kind of stuff, there's going to be some sort of repercussion from it. If you can't understand that, then there's nothing I can talk to you about. Jack, you're kind of a prick. I see how you're interacting with other people. I'm just going to remove you. See you later. Too bad you're too stupid to understand that there is a benefit to this community, but if you're not, then that's fine. Just piss off. Okay, Shakti Shaker, somebody's saying, did somebody say for me to book? Oh, okay, sorry. The Voice of Reason, have you considered having a booth at some of the bodybuilding events like Arnold Classic? I think that it would be cool to actually meet you. Yeah, Voice of Reason, how much money do you think I make from this channel? And you seem like a really nice guy, so I really appreciate the comment. Don't give, like, I'm not taking it badly or anything, but how much money do you think I make? Let's just do the math on this one. Yeah. So, Jason, how long did it take you to reach your genetic limit in the gym? I've been lifting for weights for 2 years. It took me about 7 or 8 years, but it was not a linear, like constant gains all the time. There was lots of times where I'd plateau for a period of time, and then I'd make little gains here and there. It was a constant struggle. Corona Complex, do you find it hard to get through the rest of your day from fatigue after working out? Yeah, if I work out early in the morning, for sure. It's not, I have to take a nap or whatever, or at least I go deep, really deep in the afternoon. So yeah, you have to take that into account depending on what your daily activities are going to be, right? So the Voice of Reason, are you answering me there, Voice of Reason? Are you still there, Voice of Reason? Francis Drake, clenbuterol is an illegal substance in natural bodybuilding. It might not be, I'm not sure what it's classified as or what classification it is. It doesn't necessarily build muscle, but supposedly it burns fat or whatever and can be harmful to the heart. But yeah, if your doctor recommended you to use that or whatever, then that's a different thing altogether, I guess. Yeah, okay, Voice of Reason. So yeah, I asked you a question there, Voice of Reason, like how much money do you think I make from this channel? And first of all, or second of all, the Arnold Classic, like nobody, nobody, I'm nobody in the fitness industry now. I mean, when it comes down to like the Olympia and Arnold Classic and all this kind of stuff. Second of all, booking a booth at the Arnold Classic would cost probably $20, $30, $40, $50,000 just to have a booth. And to have a booth to meet 2 people for $50,000 is probably going to be quite an extraordinary expense. And because everybody else would just be walking by my booth and say, who's that long-haired weird dude? Like they wouldn't give a shit. So it's like, I don't have enough subscribers. If I had 1 million or 2 million subscribers, then there would be a reason for people to want to meet me. But otherwise, yeah. But I appreciate your vote of confidence. I really do. Thanks though. Selwood, have I ever drank beer or alcohol? Yeah, I have. Yeah, for sure. I've gotten hammered a few times in my life. But I found that it would never got rid of my problems. And at the same time, it screwed up my workouts for a whole week. Like a whole week after, I'd be like I would be able to get a pump. My strength would be down. The next day I'd be okay. But then as the days went on, it just seemed like I was just like, it was like beating a dead horse type idea with my body. Like it never really felt right. So that's why I didn't really drink much, because I found that it killed my training. Now I don't drink for a lot of other reasons because it's just horrible for so many other reasons. But back in the day, I didn't drink either much because I just found it was just bad for my system. Yeah, craziest drinking story ever. Yeah, I don't know if I want to get into those things. Yeah, Shakti Shaker is telling you what the clenbuterol is or whatever. So, yeah, no, I've had lots of crazy. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes in my life. Okay, I don't need to get into the whole rehashing that. But what I can say is that, yeah, I'm not an angel. I mean, I'm trying to be, but I've made mistakes for sure. Alexander Hayes, I skipped your question. Did you give me a super chat there, Alexander? Are you complaining without giving me a super chat there, buddy? Did you make a donation there, Alexander? Have you shared my stuff? Do I have to take you up on the mountain? Alexander Hayes, okay. You're saying all your gains come within the first 2 to 3 years. First of all, that's fucking bullshit. That's absolute bullshit, Alexander. That's total fucking bullshit. And that is basically a drug addict attitude to justify using drugs, which is what you're talking about later on, which is what these guys are saying. They're saying, oh, you make all your gains within the first 2 to 3 years. That's most of your genetic maximum. So after that, you got to use drugs. Well, basically, these are glorified drug dealer salesmen that are trying to convince you that their shitty lifestyle should be yours. And that makes them feel better about making the shitty choices that they're making. Bottom line, that's what the fuck is going on here. Second of all, you're saying, oh, they felt, which is why they say how awesome adding a bodybuilder TRT dose revigorates their love of bodybuilding. Yeah, well, crack reinvigorates my joy of life for a few minutes, and I can be doing a Michael Jackson moonwalk in a couple mud puddles and living in a garbage can. Oh boy, life's just fucking better just to take a drug. Bullshit, fucking bullshit. And I know hormones can sometimes help if a person's totally out of balance or whatever, but it is not the solution. The solution is find a way for deeper health without putting in shit into your body. That's it. So I find a lot of these guys that decide to use drugs and hormones, they're all trying to make themselves feel better about the decision somehow by trying to sell it to everyone. That's the bottom line. So I'm not buying it. I don't buy it at all. Yeah. Smart. How are mountains able to see they peak? That's a good one too. Smart. Good job. That's funny. Ooh, you cussed, Jim Jam. Yes, I did. It's fun. I'm allowed to cuss on this channel. So Jim Jam's like, I find that high reps for legs is the only way to go. Yeah, sometimes you'll find certain body parts will respond better to high reps than low reps. It just depends on you and how you're built too. And Iron Warrior saying you keep gaining as long as you train frequently with intensity. Yeah, I was making gains from the time I was 14 years old to the time I was 33, 34 years old. I was still making dramatic gains. So for somebody to say that they hit their peak within 2 to 3 years, it's just a glorified drug addict fucking, it's so frustrating for me to hear this shit. I've met so many guys in the gym where they just come up with reasons to use cocaine or to use drugs like performance enhancing drugs because they're like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It's a good, they all justify it. Then these same fuckers come back to me 10, 15 years later and like, oh, Jason, you're right. Because I was the bastard. I was the bad person because I was not indulging their lifestyle choice. And I was saying, hey, there's some shit to watch out for. I knew this kid that I was trying to help. He's around 18 years old and he was thinking he was a big shot, drug dealing a little bit on the side and stuff. And I said, listen, man, you're kind of jumping down a real slippery slope here. You might want to think about what you're doing. But he had that attitude that, oh yeah, you just use this, whatever. I'm master of everything. Nothing can be master of me, no problem, right? And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, he shambles up to me in a parking lot outside a restaurant, says, hey, and I didn't even recognize the guy. He was so pale and skinny and shit. And he goes, hey man, you remember me? My name's this and that, whatever. And he goes, well, you know what, Jason, I just want to say you were right, man, because before you know it, I was in a closet smoking crack and doing heroin, all this stuff. And man, you were right. I can't believe that I told you that you were such an idiot back in the day. And I'm like, yeah, sorry to hear it. But the guy's healed and he's better now. He's doing much better now. But he went through a whole learning curve that he might not have had to go through if he just wasn't so stupid, So I'm going to tell you right now, don't believe the hype that these guys are saying about you have to get on hormones and all this shit. I mean, it's just a bunch of shit. Yeah, and a lot of times, and Shakti Shaker's right, people keep justifying using drugs to make up for their shitty lifestyle. I knew guys that go to the bar, they drink Friday, drink Saturday, drink Sunday, and then go to the gym on Monday. They're like, oh, wow, I don't have a pump. And then they'd be using drugs in order to compensate for that. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, they didn't understand that, it's almost like running a race, but then tying bricks around your legs. You're never really seeing what's making you faster because you're so busy hamstringing yourself the entire time. So you really get in the way of learning your own wisdom, right? So Yeah, the thing is, Alexander, even if you get your levels checked, it doesn't mean you need to supplement TRT. It doesn't mean that. Like, I don't understand. See, again, you're just looking for the easy way, Alexander. You're looking for the easy way. I never supplement that with TRT. I never did it. I'm not doing it now. So why do you need to do it? Yeah, sure, you might get some more ab veins. Maybe you'll look a little bit better. Maybe you'll be more pumped. Wow, good. But you never learned how to do it yourself because now you're putting a drug in your system or you're putting something in your system. You're never, ever, ever learning how to achieve true balance. The monks did it. The Qigong masters did it. The yogis did it. So you're saying that these guys should have been drug addicts instead, or using drugs or hormones or pills and all this? No, it's you can do it on your own. You can do it without that, you know. So, but you know, it's up to you. You can make your own choices. I'll still love you anyway. But I'm just saying that you're being indoctrinated by the medical system and the pharmaceutical system, which is not necessarily thinking about your overall health. I'll tell you that right now. And Shakti Shaker's saying something. Temporary use may help you for short term, but the real kick is to fix why your testosterone dropped in the first place. Like, what if you have a hormone, or like not a hormone imbalance, but really the hormone imbalance is caused from some sort of mineral deficiency? What if it's caused from you eating a certain food? What if it's caused because there's some sort of toxicity in your diet? And instead of dealing with that, you're going to mask it with something that's never going to get you to a place of higher health. So what's the point? It's stupid. Yeah, and I'm just trying to say, Alexander, the thing is that why does it fucking matter so much? People are so obsessed with their test levels, so obsessed with their test levels. Be obsessed with your consciousness levels. That's what I'm saying. That's what's going to lead you to be a happier, more fulfilled person. Being obsessed with your testosterone, my testosterone caused my mood shift. My this caused my mood shift. I didn't eat pizza today. That caused my mood shift. You know what I'm saying? These are all superficial things that will never help you experience a deeper level of unconditionality within you. And that is really where your power is. It's not going to be in the fluctuations of the physical body. And this is the big challenge of this whole bodybuilding bullshit. It's people are too attached to the physical body and saying everything that happens with that is going to be the cause of my happiness in life. And that is a real problem. That is a problem. It is not a good thing. You can have external goals and ambitions, but the problem is you're not going to basically make those choices that are risky in any way, shape, or form. You're not going to be so obsessed with, like, for instance, people cutting off their ear because I just don't like the feeling or the size of my ear. I don't like it. I'm just going to cut it off. You know, like it's almost like it's out of balance. It's out of balance. Your body is out of balance. So you think that by putting something from the outside in is going to restore balance. No, you're now dependent on something to keep putting in. That's called a dependency. That's not helping you become more free. So up to you. Do whatever you want. Yeah, Alexander, that's the thing. You want to be dependent on something. That's the thing. I'm saying you don't have to be, but if you want to be enslaved by a hormone, go ahead. Whatever, it's up to you. You know, but just don't be surprised if there's other side effects you have to deal with because of that. That's all. There's always a price to pay, right? I don't take melatonin either. I don't need it. Right? Don't take it. Why? Figure out what happened in the first place. Why you need it. See, so many times people are trying to mask unhealthy environments in their body. They're trying to mask it constantly. And then every time they get one step further away from their core, one step further away. And then before you know it, they've got so many things layered on top of themselves. Then they have an insurmountable health problem that comes up. And they're like, wow, I don't know how to fix this. Nobody does, because you've created such a catastrophe inside yourself. So yeah, whatever you want to do. Yeah, you know, like I said, if you're in a chronic state of absolute horror, I mean, like I said, if somebody going into surgery, it makes sense to use anesthetic. But what I'm saying is that if you're in a chronic state of having to use something the rest of your life, like, here's the other thing. When people have to use a certain hormone or a certain thing at some point in their life, you're misunderstanding. Like, you're not actually looking at what led to that. And usually it was the same type of masking behavior that led to this type of thing. Like, oh, I can't sleep, I'll have a drink. I can't sleep, I'll have some aspirin. I can't, you know, whatever. Like, and then one day they're totally sick at this point, But if you reverse engineer the whole process, you'll realize that everything is totally out of balance. So it's what caused that out of balance that it has to be restored if you want perfect health or better health. Yeah, the thing is, Oscar, it is the easy way, because using drugs is always the easy way, because what you're trying to say is you want an instant gratification of something, and you want something that you can achieve, but it's you're willing to trade something. You're trading health for some sort of superficial thing like bigger biceps or veins. This is stupid. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. Like I said, Alexander, a whole bunch of imbalances led to that point. So yeah, like I said, if you want to increase the rabbit hole that you go down, go ahead. I don't care. I don't really give a shit, honestly. Do whatever you want. But I'm just saying, some people can't work out because of chronic pain. Well, yeah, but hormones are not going to change that either. So again, that's a different thing you're talking about with old people, whatever. But like I said, it's this type of behavior that causes the problems, because everything's a polarity that comes from source. Good, bad, pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain. Pain, person masks. Pain, person masks. Pain, person masks. And before you know it, this rabbit hole has gone so freaking long. And now the body says, time to pay the piper. And now there's another disaster that happens. And the medical system doesn't know shit. I'm telling you, they know certain classifications of symptoms and say, okay, this is the way to get rid of that symptom. But they're not getting rid of the source of the problem. And that's your misunderstanding on medicine right there, 100%. They are never getting rid of the actual core problem. So, yeah, clinical studies, we know how those are accurate. Yeah, clinical studies show this is not the case. Yeah, like the clinical study that showed that smoking was good for you before the 70s and shit, right? Yeah. And you're 20 years old, 21 years old, Alexander, you have a lot more to learn. You are being indoctrinated into a real dangerous lifestyle, my friend. So yeah, stick with the natural if you can. I'm an old dude, man. I'm over twice your age, and I've been around. And I'm just saying, you can benefit what I'm saying right now, or you can reject it. It's up to you. But I'm going to tell you, everything has a price. So, and don't believe studies blindly, because studies have been taught and studies have been influenced. I know a medical doctor who was doing a study for a company, and then the company came to him and paid him, or tried to pay him, to change the results of the study, because they wanted their drug to get marketed. So studies are not the Bible. They are not gospel. They're not the 10 Commandments. I'm telling you, there have been studies that have been messed with, and it is not the secret to health. I'm going to tell you right now. So one, how do I keep my test levels high being older? I don't even know if my test levels are high. The truth is, I don't give a shit. I just train, and I do what I can, and I do what I need to do, and that's it. You know, the thing is that people want to diminish muscle mass down to test. They want to diminish this down to that. This down, like they make this oversimplification. I always talk about the oversimplification. Not everything's testosterone. Sometimes your testosterone might have waves, or maybe it'll be higher, and sometimes it'll be lower. Sometimes it'll be higher, sometimes it'll be lower. You may notice in the spring your testosterone goes higher. You know, guys notice it's like rutting season. It's like mating season almost. So there is a natural ebb and flow, a natural cycle to everything, and embracing that cycle will help you more so than trying to constantly mess with it and tamper with nature. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I'm running out of battery life right now, so I guess I'm going to have to say no, say bye-bye. So, all right, guys, nice talking to you. I'll see you next Friday. Okay? All right. Bye. I'll see if I can get out of here. I don't even know if I can get out.